Yes, it's true. That poor little driver, it has met its end, and I've had to order a new one. The good news is that I'm actually not really out anything per se. I mean, I paid for it, but the replacement plan is such a great deal. They will replace, even if one of multiple items fail, they will either pay to have it repaired or refund you, the difference on the plan. And this was a year and 6 months since that driver was purchased, so I got, a fair amount of money back. And they paid for the cost of the entire set. So, so I was able to go out and buy a better one, and or at least for now, the drill is still working. So here's the new tool, new version. It's a triple hammer Metabo, same as what I had before. It is an IP56, so it's sturdier. And the one thing that was different, I bought this as a bare tool, that I noticed right away was that there are 4 selectable settings. And that last one, which is what's new, is specifically for a bolt. And this thing is such a beast. I really can't fault that driver for passing away. Even only after a year and almost a half, it did so much for us. We lagged 10-inch long bolts into laminated columns with it. We countless screws. I used it sometimes. Occasionally, I had to use it for drilling, not just as a driver. It's a great tool, and I will absolutely keep buying them. And it certainly didn't hurt that, for the cost of $20, essentially, I got a replacement after a year and a half of use on that old one, because that's how much of replacement plan I didn't get back. Oh no, it's just a exhaust pipe and this screen. So that goopy looking stuff is a little bit of Flex Seal. It's sort of like a, just a sort of like a Lexel kind of a thing that works just fine on metal. And I've used it before and it works pretty good. And I'm gonna hold this. This grate was just a little bit too small for the hole. You can see that at the top. It should still keep rodents out, which is the concern here, because those flaps are going to only be blowing air out. So insects shouldn't be coming in, but I may come around and add some more all around that top area up there. I'm sure that there's plenty of scientific study behind the liquid sealant or mastic and not allowing the tapes to be used as the seal. I am just annoyed that I was too stupid to look it up before I went and used the wrong product in a whole bunch of places. So on these ones where we'd already taped, I went back and I split this one. I did the whole inside, and now I've reconnected it 100% liquid sealed on the outside, so it's easy for them to see. This one already had a lot of plenum tape. Do the full outside wherever it was still exposed, and I did all the inside. So we have these sections finished, sealed the way they want them to be sealed, and probably a little bit of extra. I am short a couple of pieces. They put 6 in and said to put in 8, and they're fixing that for me. But we're gonna get them through here all the way down and punched out. We'll be doing, I still don't know what size this is gonna be, if it's gonna be that size exactly. I have to figure out how to cap it too. Probably gonna involve me buying a sheet just for the top and a sheet just for the bottom. I think it's 21 by 21, in which case a 24-inch sheet would work just fine, bent at the edges, but it needs to be a thicker gauge in order to match that. And everywhere on the inside's been done, so I still have the outside tape, but it's blocked on the inside as well. And we're gonna be still doing some other stuff, like I have to go back and fix almost all of these connections. So I found a thing. It appears to be confused. You don't belong over here. That's rock. That's not gonna work, buddy. Never seen one of them just come out of the ground like this before. Bro, I'm not your friend. I mean, I'm not gonna eat you, but don't you think I'm more like a predator? It's following me around now. It's way up there. My house is not your home. Well, we got this guy all buttered on the back, if you will, the butyl on it. Make sure it goes on pretty good onto this lower vent. And then I had to put this one in at an angle, so I popped that off and I had to cut it so that you can see how jagged it is. Now I'm just trying to get the dang thing to go back in. And it did. I have a appropriate gap, I feel. Remember, I've got my butyl all around here on all the sides, a very small one on the top, and I'm gonna just take this and bend it out just a hair, I think, and then get a good caulk up into there to where the water will come down and off of this thing. And now I gotta get it to work on the inside. Well, the sun is shining out today. I am still working inside. It's supposed to be 2 days, but I'm really pushing to get this HVAC squared away as quickly as I can. I'm really already kind of over it. You know, it just very discouraging when you make as big a mistake as that and it costs you that much time. But I'm pretty much on the other side now. I just put my nose to the grindstone and really worked at to try and get everything the way it should be. So hopefully when it's time for the inspection, we pass with flying colors. So I went back and reworked all these boots and that little metal pipe to make sure it was the way it was supposed to be. And the code requests that you cover in your interior as well. It doesn't say you have to, but the code, actually, you know, it was either the code that said it or it was that document that was an Oregon thing that was like, this is something you should do. I don't remember. It's not a requirement, but it is recommended, so I did it. Basically, I had a bunch of extra cut pieces, and I just set the actual 6-inch piping aside and used the wrap, cut it, retaped it to have a nice cover on all of these all the way out to the boot. And the boot's gonna be buried at the top there in insulation. I don't know that it really makes that much difference. They seem to think that it does, but we're all done on this side now. I even restrapped that one up. I'm gonna have to pull it ever so slightly that way, but it's pretty close. And we did finish over here. That guy is all the way in and out on the bottom. That is the intake for the pressurized part of the air system. That is the output or the exhaust. These are kind of ready to interchange. I did manage to get the first section for this return, and this is just gonna hang down until I know exactly where I'm gonna be. I'll probably even put in the drywall around it, and then I'm gonna buzz that across right at the drywall and the grate can go straight over it. So I'm pleased with that one. And I have to run the other sections, but I'm gonna have to head out in a minute and get a Christmas tree. So I'm not gonna do that right now. I'll take you upstairs real quick. I went back on both of these and made sure that they had the liquid sealant instead of just tape. So they're hopefully good to go. This one, I made sure that this had not been 100%, and hopefully it is now to where they're satisfied. I left this top piece so that they can see that it is gooped, and then I'll retape that because I do prefer a belt and suspenders of both. There's an angle there. You see that? And that thing does wrap around the back. This is just a silly thing that ended up happening, and I should have put the 8-inch there and the 6-inch here, and I could still go back and fix it, but it'll work just fine. I'm gonna just leave it. This will be stuffed behind a little bitty wall. It's gonna go right at that door, and just where the joist was, and I don't wanna have to try and mess with that. So, but they're in, and they're hopefully ready. You can see, I've got the liquid seal, the not mastic on there, and not going through the floor. That is one thing. You're not supposed to take this stuff through the floor, so it's easier when you get time. When it is time, you're supposed to go through and put in some fire block foam. And this guy's got a little piece right down there. That's basically it's gonna hold it up because it's metal, it's heavier, and it was easy to install. The middle one has a little joiner, so a coupler, so I may do that on that one too. And then in the attic, we've got this one fixed. You can see the proper tape on there that's got the right rating. This one's now installed. This is a supply, that's a return. I know they're a little close. There's not a whole lot of room for me to wiggle in here. And this is an add. So if you remember, I was gonna just do that one supply and that one return. But we may section this room off at some point. And then if we do that, then I'd like to have a supply on both sides. And I went back and I double checked the actual count of CFM that we had relative to the range that you're allowed, which is something like 1,000 to 1,200, and we were a little low, and so I went ahead, maybe it was 1,000 to 1,400, and we were at I think that's what it was, and we were at 12. And so I bumped us up into the low 13s by adding that and one more to the kitchen. And that should put us right where we're supposed to be. It should help make sure that our blower has the longest life possible. If you undersize or oversize the system, the blower can struggle. Not on the returns. Returns, as long as they're at least sized correctly, they can be as big as you want, and it's really not gonna have too much of an issue. But on the supply, that matters. And you can see that, they're all interchanged here. Technically, this is within the building's envelope all the way down to the eaves. And so I don't have to have that in wrapped. I may come back if I have a scrap piece left and finish that out all the way in because everything else is. But if not, whatever, it's within the building's envelope and we're good to go. And you can see I made sure, we got mastic around or liquid seal around these little joints that are in the articulating 90 elbows. I don't know if that's required, but I'm just gonna make it look as good as I possibly can and seal up everything I can. And I would have done it with tape, but if I'm gonna have to do it with the liquid seal, then I'm gonna go ahead and get it done. look up into here. Up high, we have an 8x16, and then down low to way over there, we have an 8x16. So this is packed. That's 16 out of 17.5 or 18 inches. In the middle, we have an 8. Right next to it up there is a 6 that's going to come around and come in. That's a return, so it's got to come out and then over and then join in up in here with these two returns in a box. That is a supply and the 6 is a supply, and so they've got to worm their way out and then come over to kind of right up in here, and that's no problem. They are flex ducts. I can make it work, but this space is jam-packed full, and there is an 8x12 that's coming as a supply from the far end, and it's going to either be up right in that business of that flex or down. And over here, the tray gets raised up. You can see the difference in the heights. It's 6.5 inches between where this one sits and that one sits. And we got to figure out how to drop that down in order to not get in the way so much of that flex duct. And you would think you can just cut it, right, at an angle maybe, or something like that. And the answer is it doesn't work that way, and here's why. So see how we're flushed here? The angle, as you can see, makes a difference. And that's why they sell offsets for this sort of thing at, 45 degrees, and then you put a little length, whatever you need in between, and it's $45. $1 a degree seems like a lot to me, however. All right, so we've got them cut, and now we just need to create a situation where these can be joined. And obviously we don't have the S-cleat capability in this unless I make it. The only issue with me trying to make it is that, potentially then you're talking about losing some of your length there. But I think if we just cut that on both sides and fold it by the half, we can get an S-cleat. However, I don't know that they're going to be long enough to lap, because those are for an 8-inch is what I have. I don't have any longer ones. So this is entirely done by hand, possibly in the most unintelligent way possible. Just using that basic hand seamer. You can see that there's some bumps. But hopefully this will take this guy, change the angle, meet up to this guy, and yeah, that's the plan. So first time through, I made these too small on both ends. So the channel had too much extra. Essentially it'd be in danger of coming off in that way, and it's not going to hold them together nicely. So I'm going to rebend just this one on this one, not on that, I don't think. And we'll see how that does. I might rebend these ones where I tried to account for the fact that I couldn't take it up straight to the corner per se. And that's why you see this one's got like that reduced amount. I might increase that on that one too. That might honestly be the better one to redo. These ones are small. All right, so we've made that adjustment. This one's all attached in now, and we're gonna try and get this to attach into its friend here. Make sure you're catching my stupidity here. Come on now. Aha! I feel that might have just done it. Bring this over here. This is going to need to re-solidify, fortunate but true. I might run my sealant on the interior to try and re-support that everywhere where there already was one of these filled. It's not completely gone, but I can, that one at least has shifted. So, let's see that. But then they should be ready for prime time. Hi, varmints. Thank you for watching. I hope you and your family have a great holiday season, and we'll see you next time.